Your lack of self-esteem is not your fault, and this book tells you why.
If you grew up as a shy, awkward kid, unsure of his place in the world, just like I did, not only would applying what you learned here and in this video teach us how to improve our confidence, but we'll also learn the psychological way of how we can literally attain anything that we want in our life.
Today, we're exploring Bay Ridge in the southern westmost part of Brooklyn, New York, and explaining how we can use Psycho-Cybernetics to drastically improve our lives.
First, we'll start with a question. What's the difference between these two pictures? You likely didn't need to look too close to realize that this woman had a nose job done by a plastic surgeon. Easy catch, right? But what if I told you that this same exact woman saw these same exact pictures of herself and swore she saw no difference in her appearance? You're probably just as confused as I was. How is it possible that this woman, and evidently hundreds of people that come out of a plastic surgeon's office, can't notice such an obvious difference in their appearance afterwards? Well, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, author of this book, had those same questions and became curious.
Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and like most people in the profession, he saw his fair share of clients ranging from people suffering from scars and facial deformities, and people looking for cosmetic touch-ups and beauty enhancements. However, there was a subsection of clients that would come back to his office weeks later angry, claiming that he was a con artist and that nothing was visibly changed after the operation.
Baffled, Maltz showed these people specific before and after pictures that clearly show the difference in their looks, which much to his dismay only made them that much more upset.
Eager to get to the bottom of this, he realized that there must have been some sort of mental gymnastics going on, as even their own family barely recognized who they were. And that's when Maltz discovered self-image psychology for the first time. He came to the conclusion that most people who are angry about the results of plastic surgery never needed to be operated on in the first place. They didn't need a facelift, they needed a mental lift, and he explained it in a story. One day, a man was forced into Maxwell's office by his girlfriend to do a cosmetic operation on his lower lip. The man was visibly depressed and anxious. He expressed that he was too funny looking to others because his lips were too big. Maltz performed the operation for a cheap price, but only under the condition that the man told his girlfriend he spent his entire life savings on it. You see, the man's girlfriend had no problem with him spending money on her. She claimed to love him, but the reason why the man wanted to get the operation in the first place was because the girlfriend couldn't bring herself to marry a man with a lower lip that big. He felt ashamed of his flaw and concluded that he must have been too ugly or not attractive enough to be worthy of marriage because of how big his lower lips were. What do you think happened that night after the man told his girlfriend he spent every dime to his name to reduce the size of his lips? The very thing he thought made him unattractive to her.
You could have seen the steam come out of her pores with how furious she was.
In the middle of her verbal assault, she admitted that she never loved him in the first place and never would have, surgery or not. She was only using him for his money. Maltz wasn't the least bit surprised, which indirectly proved his theory. The man didn't need plastic surgery. He needed to get rid of his girlfriend.
Now, what if I told you that the man looked like this? Does this look like the face of the man that needed plastic surgery?
Unfortunately, it did not matter if him being ugly was true or not. If his brain believed it, it was true to him. He accepted a false belief placed on him by his girlfriend and genuinely felt and acted as if he was someone too ugly to be loved, which was never the case at all. Because he acted like he was ugly, people started treating him as if he was ugly.
Maltz concluded that if a man was so convinced through imagination alone that he was so ugly that he needed plastic surgery, that proved that there was a stronger connection between the mind and the nervous system than what 1960s psychology knew at the time. He believed that if he could just teach his clients how to steer their mind in a direction that worked for their benefit, plastic surgery would be unnecessary. And that's how Psycho-Cybernetics came to be.
Cybernetics as in machine, and psycho as in brain. Put together, he defines this term as using your mind as a machine to steer towards a desired outcome or goal in your life.
Now, this video isn't meant to be a book review or a summary by any means, but maybe you were like the man in the story, or you grew up as the weird kid and everyone else seemed to be better than you. What if you did accept the false belief of yourself this entire time and that was the reason that held your self-esteem and self-confidence back? Well, keep watching because I'll share my top 2 takeaways from this book that I believe will help break your false beliefs and help you gain the life that you want. Starting with number 1, our life accomplishments will never outgrow our view of ourselves or self-image.
Let's say a friend invited you for a hike on a trail. You're both having a blast. Then all of a sudden, a grizzly bear came charging at you. Your body's fear response is automatic. The second your eyes locked with the black beast, your mind switched to survival mode. Your conscience took a back seat as adrenaline is poured into your bloodstream. All bodily functions not necessary to running are shut down. The stomach stops working, and all available blood and oxygen is sent to the muscles, and your breathing is faster than it's ever been.
Now let's pray that we never get in a scenario like that. And thank God that we don't have to consciously control everything our body automatically does to help us survive. What we have to realize though is that the same brain and nervous system that react automatically to the environment is the same exact brain and nervous system that tell us what the environment is to begin with. Now what if I said to you that the bear wasn't a bear at all, but an actor in a bear costume?
Would you care?
No, because since you believed and imagined that the bear were real, your nervous system automatically reacted as if the bear was real. And it's not like you cared to check anyways. Now, what does this all actually mean and why is this so important? It means that our mind and nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience and an imagined experience. In either case, it automatically reacts to the information that you give it. Now, if you're a person with a low self-image and a low self-esteem, how does all this information help you? How you view yourself or your self-image prescribes the area of possibility for anything that you want to accomplish in your life. As a child, if you grew up with everyone telling you that you were shy and you accepted that to be true, your nervous system will automatically begin to act as if you were actually shy. You could have been an extrovert for all you knew, but now your body language says otherwise. Your body gets tight when you get around a crowd, your palms get sweaty, and you get awkward and you have difficulty talking to other people for some reason. And you know what's crazy? Now that you've begun to act shy, it reinforces the original false belief that you held in the first place. And thus goes this sick, self-fulfilling prophecy that most people carry on until adulthood. Remember the man from the first story? His self-image became that of an ugly duckling, and he accepted that belief until he realized that it was his girlfriend's belief and not his own. Maltz figured out that if this brain trickery can work against us in the negative, it can just as easily work for us in the positive. Why don't we just imagine ourselves being the most successful person that we want to become?
Visualization is a big thing in the self-improvement community, and for good reason. To maximize our imagination to our benefit, Maltz suggests to set aside at least 30 minutes every single day for at least 21 days to mentally picture the person we'd like to become or the life we like to have as if we already have it presently. Remember, the goal is to mimic as close to real life experience as possible, so the more vivid and detailed the visualization, the better. Pay attention to the smallest details. In the day in the life of your future self, what sounds do you hear? What colors do you see? What activities are you doing? How do your clothes feel on your body, etc.? What do you look like as a confident person? See yourself feeling and being the person you want, and make sure your thoughts are emotional. Emotion drives power to your thoughts.
And if you're still skeptical of whether or not setting aside 30 minutes every single day to visualize is worth your time, here's a study that Maxwell mentioned in his book that may help you out.
In a controlled experiment of school basketball players looking to improve their free throw shots, one group of students physically practiced shooting the ball 20 minutes a day for 20 days, and their shots were scored only on day 1 and day 20. A second group of students was scored on days 1 and 20, but did zero form of practice in between whatsoever. A third group was also scored on days 1 and 20, but spent the 20 minutes mentally visualizing themselves shooting the ball into the hoop. And they were so detailed with their visualizations that if they missed a shot in their imagination, they corrected their form and aim accordingly.
And the results were crazy.
On day 20, the first group who physically practiced shooting the ball improved in scoring by 24%. The second group who didn't practice at all showed no improvement. The third group who only imagined themselves shooting the ball with no physical practice whatsoever improved 23%. Only a 1% difference from the people who actually touched the basketball. If it's good enough for Michael Jordan, who's been known to mentally practice taking the game-winning shot dozens of times before the actual game started, and if it's good enough for the top salespeople in the world who mentally practice customer conversations beforehand to prepare answers for potential objections, then it's good enough for us to use our nervous system to our advantage and literally become the person we want to become.
And if this doesn't already prove the power our own brain and thoughts hold on us, maybe we could take it a step further with my second takeaway from this book. Number 2, our brain is literally a goal-striving machine.
When you think of nature, what comes to mind? You likely think of trees, and various animals such as birds and squirrels. Well, here's a quick question. When a squirrel is born, does it need to attend a lecture on how to gather nuts? Or buy a course on why it should store food for the winter? Does a bird need to read a step-by-step guide on how to build a nest or how to navigate while flying? All these traits are based on instinct. A squirrel born in spring has never experienced winter, yet they can be seen storing nuts in the fall. The only explanation for this, explained by Maxwell Maltz, is that animals have an innate success instinct that naturally guides them to their built-in goal, which is self-preservation and procreation, or simply put, to survive. Animals can't select their goals per se. They're preset to them. Yet, similar to animals, us humans also have a success instinct within our brains that helps guide us. Unlike animals though, thanks to our imagination, we can select goals beyond basic survival. Most of us are unaware of how to fully access this instinct to our advantage.
In terms of Psycho-Cybernetics, here's how Maxwell Maltz broke down how we can utilize our own success instinct to accomplish any goal or desire that we have.
He described that our brain can be divided into two types. Type 1, where a target, goal, or answer is known and the objective is to accomplish it, and Type 2, where the target is unknown and the objective is to discover it. The best example to describe Type 1 is to think of a self-guided homing missile. How do homing missiles work? In simple terms, it's a system of positive feedback and negative feedback. You see, all missiles must be propelled in the general direction of a target, but this self-guided missile has built-in sensory organs, such as radar, sonar, heat detectors, etc., which feeds information from the target whether it is on course or positive feedback, or if it's off course or negative feedback. The machine does not react or respond to positive feedback. If it's already doing the right thing, it just keeps on going. When it receives negative feedback that it's too far right or too far left, the corrective mechanism automatically causes the rudder to move the opposite direction back on course. If it overcorrects, it does the same thing and repeats multiple times until the target is reached. The missile accomplishes its goal by going forward, making mistakes, and continually correcting them by a series of zigzags until it reaches its goal. And your brain works the same exact way. Think about it. All skill learning is done through a system of trial and error. Like a computer, our brain attempts a trial, misses the mark, identifies the degree of error, and makes corrections on the next trial. Our brain then remembers the successful trials and forgets the unsuccessful trials. Whether it were our primitive days where we had to continually adapt and evolve with the changing environment to survive, or our modern day dream setting, our brains are designed to learn, grow, and accomplish the next goal. Have you ever thought about a problem, couldn't figure it out in the moment, then the answer randomly pops up in your head hours or even days later, although you stopped consciously thinking about it? Even if you stop consciously working, your brain unconsciously never does. Maxwell emphasizes continuously feeding your brain your goals and desires with emotion, and like a missile, your brain will continually move your life in that direction, whether you consciously want it to or not. And that's just some of the ways how we can use Psycho-Cybernetics to drastically improve our lives.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you literally got nothing else from this video other than to pick this book up, this video did its job for sure. I know there's a negative stigma against self-help books, self-improvement books, like how they all say the same thing. They're all just trying to motivate you, hype you up, try to sell you a course or whatever the case may be. But I truly believe this book is different in the sense that not only was this one of the first ones of its kind that talked about the subconscious mind and how the mind works and psychology of success, but it literally gives you an entire list of what to do in order to help your self-image and your self-esteem and self-confidence. I doubt I even touched a tenth of what this book had to offer in this video. If you found any type of value in this, please consider giving this a like, subscribing for future content. I hope you guys enjoyed all the beautiful shots of Bay Ridge that I try to get for you guys. I want to do more stuff like this where I combine kind of like a travel exploration type of deal with, you know, education and actually saying something that matters, right? And if nothing else, I love you guys and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.